Welcome to our presenters. We're just going to give a couple of minutes to let people are still logging in. So we're just going to give a couple of minutes before we start the Farm to School Ambassadors program. All right, let's get started. So welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us today for for the Innovation Academy Charter School Farm to School Ambassador presentation. My name is Dinah Mack, and I am the Education Program Manager at Massachusetts Farm to School. Mass Farm to School is an organization that works to strengthen local farms and fisheries and promote healthy communities by increasing local food purchasing and education at schools. Our statewide work focuses on professional development to school staff and others, technical assistance, network building, and advocacy for farm to school policies. Please keep an eye out for future professional development and networking opportunities outside of this week's conference. I am very excited to introduce the speakers for this session, Innovation Academy Charter School Farm to School Ambassadors. First, we have Amelia Perez. Amelia enjoys math and science. She also loves gardening, cooking, and fermenting foods. She hopes to study food science in college and go on to work in food production, emphasizing sustainability and increasing access to healthy food for low-income communities. Haley Cummings has an increasing interest in nutrition and loves to learn about the variety of nutritious foods. She is motivated by the group's efforts to make strides in making their school more sustainable. Her development in new skills within the group allows her to put her best work into practice. Alani Vasconcelos enjoys reading and trying new things. She hopes that she can learn more about sustainable agriculture and nutrition, apply it to her daily life, and teach others. She plans on becoming a pediatrician. And Caroline Bishop is excited to be learning more about sustainability and how that can be implicated into school settings. She hopes that the practices her group has put into their school community can begin being used in other schools in order to make a greater impact. So welcome to our ambassadors, and you have the floor. And while they're presenting, if anyone has questions, please put them in the chat, and we will have some time at the end for a Q&A.
Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming. To start off, if you could just go to joinpd.com and enter that code on the screen. So we can just ask questions and get feedback from everyone.
And the code is going to be in the chat.
Okay.
So everyone take a minute to go on to joinpd.com. So that's Pear Deck. That's why you see that little pear. And then the code to join is on the screen. VEJUCM. If you're just joining us, welcome. The youth ambassadors are sending us onto a Pear Deck. And the link for the Pear Deck is in the chat. Thank you. Thank you, Anna. And you can click on that, and there will be some stuff to do on that.
Okay. Okay, so as they were saying, we are the Innovation Academy Charter School Farm to School Ambassadors. My name's Caroline. I'm Haley.
I'm Alani.
And I'm Amelia.
So we're the 4 farm school interns, and we're so excited to share what we've done this year. You can follow our Instagram at Iacs_farm-to-school and on Twitter, Iacs_farm-to-school. And then the picture up top is just a picture of us from Amelia's quinceanera the other day.
Yeah.
So what you'll be learning, we're first going to do an overview of the Farm School Internship Program at Innovation, Iacs, that's the school we go to, and then our initiatives, which are feeding the community garden, which we did by having gardens and microgreens, food waste reduction, which was school-wide composting, increasing food-based education by supporting the kitchen library, growing healthier food systems with grant sale fundraisers, and other community building fundraisers and events at Iacs. We hope you'll come away with ways to get out of your comfort zone and become more involved in your school community, with ideas to support health and nutrition of your communities, and to inspire to try food waste reduction initiatives at home and in school.
Okay, so these are the questions. So you can like just submit your response in the Pear Deck. But the first question is, how many of you are youth or adults?
And if you're not in the Pear Deck, because you couldn't get into the Pear Deck, well, there is a link in the chat, and I'm going to relink it for people who just got here. But you could also, if you can't get in, you could also put your answer in the chat.
Interesting. Okay.
We have
perfect.
23 people. We have 23 people here.
How many responses?
Oh, and we have some in the chat. I'll tell you, we have some people answering in the chat. Adult. I think you have a mostly adult audience today. Probably maybe because students are in school.
Yeah.
Couldn't get permission to watch.
So now we'll move on to the next question, which is, does your school have youth-led projects? We're hoping after this, all the no's turn into yeses.
And it's great that a majority is yes.
Yeah. Okay, so next question. What are you doing at your school to reduce food waste? And I believe this one's like a written one, so you can just write your response.
Using leftover fruit to bake.
Oh,
that's
that's so
really
interesting.
I love that.
Yeah.
So,
Using hunger cues with children.
Oh,
That's cool.
also getting rid of plastic utensils. We should do that.
yeah. Monitoring portion size, using hunger cues with children. That's really smart.
These are all really cool.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
seems like everyone's taking slightly different approaches, but so far there's some really interesting ideas that we're seeing. Composting, portion size monitoring, plastic reduction, using leftover fruit to bake with.
Yeah, that's really cool. I was like,
Yeah,
that
that's a
idea.
very cool idea.
Okay, do you want to move on to the next question?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next question is, what are you hoping to learn during this presentation? So like, what are your like hoping for your takeaways?
This is another open-ended question.
You scroll. Yeah. these are really good.
Oh, gardening curriculum ideas for summer camps.
So fun.
I hope you guys find what you're looking for during this presentation.
And move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Is there stuff?
Maybe we should finish typing.
Mhm.
Okay, so it looks like what people are hoping to learn so far is some fresh ideas for food service programs and collaborating with students and staff, which we'll definitely touch upon during our presentation. Gardening curriculum ideas for summer camps, learn what's going on in school so that we might be able to create education programs that align what we've enjoyed most and our biggest lessons through this program. And it seems like a lot of people just want more ideas on how you can incorporate programs like this to be more sustainable. So hopefully we'll touch on what everyone wants to learn today. Okay, so our Iacs Farm to School vision statement. I'll just read this vision statement for you real quick. Our Farm to School program supports school outcomes by empowering students through food, garden, and farm experiences while providing delicious and nourishing school meals that are reflective of cultures of our students and whose ingredients are grown with practices that are respectful of our farm workers and our environment. Our program also builds diverse partnerships with regional farms and food access organizations to grow a more healthy, equitable, and resilient community. So throughout all our actions this year, we've been trying to reach this vision statement and through all and incorporate goals through that. So some history of our Farm to School program here at Iacs is, first, we're located in Tingsboro, Massachusetts. Our school is grades 5th through 12th, and we have about 800 students total. The internship program started in 2019, and we've had 10 interns go through so far. Each year from September to May, the interns, which can be from grades 11 or 12, but right now it's just we're all 11th graders, lead the majority of farm to school events and fundraisers throughout the community. And we have 4 main goals that we use to create smaller projects, like individual projects that meet those goals. Our 4 main goals are involved with cafeteria and landscape, community, classroom, and communications. And some of the projects we've done are coordinating fundraising events. And I think the community aspect of this internship has been my favorite so far, because we really get to get involved with our community and connect with all the members of our school, with it being such a broad age range, and educate lots of people about nutrition and how food is produced. And I think we're really reaching a lot of people and families through that. So how we're structured right now is our school currently has half days every Wednesday. So we're able to meet every Wednesday from 12:30 to 4 to work together. And we begin our meeting with the agenda, just going over by priority what needs to get done that week and everything that we plan to do in the future. So if we have an event that needs to be planned, what we can do for that, taking care of whatever plants that need to be taken care of. And then we work with a committee of Iacs teachers and administrations to make sure everyone's on the same page and all our goals are being met. So just a little bit about why each of us were interested in joining this internship. Caroline, would you like to start?
Yeah, so starting off, I had an interest in sustainability, and I had heard from peers who had done the internship prior years that they had a great time doing it, that they learned so much. And because I heard such positive feedback, I thought that it was something that I'd love to get involved with. So I reached out to Miss Sinar, and I've been doing the internship all year, and I love it a lot.
Personally, like after COVID and everything, I really wanted to go into like a hospital and do an internship there, but that still wasn't like an opportunity. So I decided to do farm to school because it was like super convenient, considering it's like on campus and everything. And I really wanted to get more into nutrition and just like that whole system. So yeah, that's why I joined.
I joined because I've always been interested in food systems. And as I've gotten older, I've been more focused on sustainability and learning a lot more about that. And I thought that this internship would be a really good hands-on way of learning how these systems work and how we can improve them.
My interest more correlates with Haley's as well. I was looking for an internship at a hospital. Because of COVID, they weren't allowing any interns. And I'm really close with Amelia, and I found out she was going to do this internship. So I was like, why not? I was really open to the idea of trying something new. And yeah.
So these are our initiatives. And one of them is growing food for our community. And we do this by our pollinator garden, which is dedicated to plants that attract different types of pollinators. And this bed is mainly occupied by herbs and flowers. We also have the raised beds and our garden tower. And we use the square foot gardening method, which basically we just separate the raised bed by creating like individual sections for different types of plants. And yeah, so we plant a wide variety of vegetables in our raised beds. In the past, we have grown carrots, radishes, kale, Swiss chard, peas, wax beans, and eggplants. Our garden tower has individual cells to space smaller plants like herbs and baby greens. This is a couple photos that we posted on our Instagram, just advertising different events. This is Amelia and Alani holding radishes that we grew. This is like the actual post where we advertised the pop-up stand that we had during dismissal. Yeah. This is another way that we advertise, just through like posters that we make. But yeah, thanks for the poster. Next is the indoor plant stands. We have 2 indoor plant stands, and we keep all the seedlings on these. The stands create the perfect controlled environment because they have grow lights, heating mats, and fans. We start the majority of our plants on our plant stand or for our plant fundraiser here. Some examples include jalapenos, other peppers, basil, squash, tomatoes, and pumpkins, etc. This is a picture of some plants germinating. We also have our greenhouse. We use our greenhouse to start seeds and store larger seedlings and prepare them to be planted out in the raised beds. The greenhouse was advocated for and planned by our 2019 to 2020 interns.
So microgreens is a big part of our internship. Getting into the details, we grow a lot of microgreens to give out to families because they're a quick way to get a lot of nutrition to Iacs families. In the fall and winter, we planted and harvested microgreens weekly because they can be grown so easily indoors. For those of you who don't know, they grow in about 2 weeks and they just need a little bit of light and water. And we harvested and packaged microgreens in reused produce containers to avoid excess plastic waste. And we distributed to Iacs families during school pickup, and the microgreens were also available for use in the school cafeteria. Distributing our harvest to Iacs families. Whenever we had a large harvest of produce, we would give it away to school families so that they can eat them at home. And we always used either recyclable, reused, or compostable packaging, again, so that we reduce any waste that we are creating. With the produce, we include an information sheet in case a family doesn't know about what that type of produce is or doesn't know how they would use it, so that it can be as accessible as possible for the families. So it'll be a list of what's included in the bag and then recipe inspiration and pictures of what each thing is. And we delivered the produce to families' cars during pickup. And so we have a little like barrel that we would wheel to each car as they're driving off with their students and drop them off right at their window so that everyone can easily have access to the school-grown produce.
So this is our Microgreens demonstration. We just have some videos that we made about the process of making microgreens, so we can play those. Yeah.
So first you want to start with a tray that has no holes, and then put a tray with holes on top of it, and then sprinkle a bunch of moist soil that when you squeeze it, it doesn't drip too much, but that it also like sticks together a little bit. And just fill it up a bunch. And break up all the clumps until it is like decently filled. Really good in there. And pack it in as you go to make it nice. And stop. Cover the whole thing evenly as well. And just break up all the clumps, like I said. Okay. And then once it's all, let me get a little more. Once it's all patted down, you can start putting in your seeds. And make sure to like put a pretty hefty amount and spread them out throughout the whole thing. And then finally just press them down almost right in the soil because they like some pressure. But also don't bury them. So just like press them down. And that is how you plant microgreens.
Okay, so that was our microgreens demo.
Going off of what Haley just said, we're going to talk about our kitchen library program that we started this year. This program allowed teachers to cook with their students safely and easily. At the beginning of the year, during one of our half days, we did a series of kitchen safety classes for teachers interested in cooking with their classes. We taught them kitchen safety skills, and after that class, they received a library card, which is to your right. It says Iacs Food Library Card, and it says their name on the top. This allows the teachers to be able to use the collection of equipment and appliances that the school offers. The kitchen library also has gift cards and teachers can use to pay for the ingredients. Along with the kitchen library, we also created binders that have information for students who are beginners at cooking. These binders consisted of chopping techniques, suggestions for flavor pairings, equipment guiding, and basic cooking skills. We also made video tutorials for teachers to play for their students when they're cooking. These are like screen caps from each of the videos. Someone chopping a carrot, another person wiping down their area and putting all their scraps in a compost bin. These are a couple of photos of one class at our school using the library card and the school's appliances. This is a Spanish class. They were making salsa and empanadas. You can see they're really delicious. Another class or advisory used the school library for frozen banana desserts for Black History Month, and another class, which was a financial literacy project for them. they were selling cookies and muffins, or going to be selling cookies and muffins at our Iacs community market. This is our second year doing a community market. It's just technically just students and sometimes teachers vending at Iacs.
Food waste prevention. So, are we opening this? No.
Okay.
So, how much food do you guys think are wasted in cafeterias per year in America?
You guys can put your answers into the deck.
So the most common answer was D, 200,000 tons. So
Wait and see.
I think that's all the responses.
Okay. Well,
The correct answer was B, 530,000 tons are wasted in just schools in America each year. So because of how much food waste that is, it was very important to us that we could do as much as we could in order to limit it in our school. So we figured out as many ways of implementing food waste reduction tactics in our school as we could. So here's some of them. So here's food waste at our school before the program started. As you can see, there's a lot of just trash and just plastic and stuff thrown all around. And then, so we did this first by educating and training our school and students on how far food waste really does impact the world.
Yeah.
And
We'll just click the presentation.
yeah.
the video.
So the first thing we did was we made this slideshow, which was presented to all of our advisories. An advisory is a small group of students and normally one or two teachers, and they meet every day, and it's supposed to be like a peer bonding moment. A peer bonding. So in our advisories, we presented these slideshows, and the slideshow just goes over everything that we did and everything that we would be implementing into our school community. So, the videos.
Yeah. Okay, so this is just like the slideshow that we presented at our advisories.
So the first thing we did was we started talking about why food waste was important. We wanted students to know that it really is a big thing and that every little thing that gets done really does make an impact. So the first thing we did was we made posters about thinking before you toss, and we worked with our lunch coordinator of nutrition, and we talked about how we could implement these ways. And then we did demonstrations. So first we have our liquid waste bucket, and this liquid waste bucket was starting in order to prevent liquid waste from being put into the trash. There was too much liquid waste in trash, which was making it hard for the custodians to throw away the trash bags, and it was just not very ethical. So the first thing.
Hello,
You here?
Yeah.
this is our new liquid waste bucket. We would like if everyone after lunch would pour all of their unfinished drinks into this bucket through the strainer. So milk, water, soda, and juice can be poured into it as long as they're already open. If you have unopened drinks that you don't want, make sure you put it in the share cart. But you just dump it in. And then you dispose the can or the bottle properly.
So that was our liquid waste bucket, and we made demonstrations for all the things we did, and it was just showing students the proper way to use these and you know, our tactics aren't going to be very effective if students aren't educated on how to use them. So we wanted to be as thorough as we could.
Let me just watch that one. This one.
Yeah.
Hi, IACS community. These are our composting bins down by the track. We have 3 of them. And so this is the first one, the second one, the third one. All right, this is our first bin. This is where the food from the cafeteria first goes in. Every single week, it is mixed in and further pushed out each compost bin. The second one, and then finally to the third one, where it is finally nutrient-rich soil. Once we have the nutrient-rich soil, it'll be used into our garden over here. And
We also have the other link on slide 19.
Slide 19. Oh, share card demonstration.
So this is our share cart demonstration.
Hello, Iacs community. This is our new share cart to prevent food waste at Iacs. On the top bins over here, we have where we put our unopened room temperature goods. Yes. Some stuff we can put in here are pears, oranges, apples. Put them in with them. And down here, we have the cold foods. All items in here must be kept at under 40 degrees. And so you place your item in and you put the tape. And all food not taken from the share cart will be donated to the Tingborough Senior Center or other organizations. But students are highly recommended and encouraged to take things from the share cart.
Yeah. You can go back to the other side. So, as you can see, we put a lot of work into these slideshows. We made a lot of videos to show. And another thing we did was we made interactive slides. So for this one, as an example, we did where do these foods belong on the share cart, top or bottom? And students were just able to go through each food item and decide whether it should go on the top of the share cart in the bins or in the bottom with the coolers. So this is the correct answer. Craisins and apples go on the top, and then yogurt, juice, and milk go on the bottom. Yeah, you already saw the videos for this, but a little review over it. We did the liquid waste bucket, which you can pour your leftover liquids into the bin instead of in the trash. And then after each lunch, our facility folks were pouring the liquid waste down the drain instead of into the dumpster with the rest of the trash. Like we talked about before, we also have the share cart, and the share cart had 2 sections. The top of the cart was for food stored at room temperature, and it was prepackaged foods and whole food stuff to be left in the top of the bin. And the bottom section is for food that needs to stay cold. Milk, juice, yogurt, and other cold foods can be put in the coolers. And then the leftover food bins are donated to our program after school and can be distributed to our urban campers and unhoused community members in Wolf. Here's some pictures of things that were put in the share cart. Here's our compost bins. You can see how there's 3 different sections and how as the compost begins to decompose more and more, it gets moved along the line until it's eventually in the last bin ready to be used as soil. Because the interns only meet on Wednesdays, we wanted to be able to have other people be involved. And so here's just a volunteer sign up sheet for taking care of all of the compost and liquid waste and the share cart stuff. How we manage the compost. So each Wednesday, we check all 3 staff lounge for compost bins. And if there's food in the bins, we remove and replace the bags with compostable liners. And we bring the bags to be composted outside, and we pour bags into the compost chopping bucket and separate out any contaminants. And then we use the ice choppers to break down the food into small pieces. we take the temperature of the current compost and we put the food scraps into the first section of the compost bin. Continuing on, we add 2 cups of super hot every 3 weeks. So that just adds extra nutrition and like bacteria and organisms into the compost so it can break down easier. And then we add browns, so like leaves, stuff like that, into the food scraps. And then we remove the front planks of the compost bin and we use a scooping flipping motion with a pitchfork in order to mix the compost. And then we replace the planks. Yeah, so how can the system improve? So right now there's a lot of contaminants in the compost, so like plates, milk cartons, etc. You can see at the bottom, there's all of the food that was in the compost bin. But there's also like plates and milk cartons. Just we have to pull those out every time we do the compost. And yeah, so we want to add more signs in order to teach kids what can and can't go in the compost. And then also putting an announcement in the morning announcement just to remind students like what the regulations are for what can be in there. And then also making it school-wide. Because this is a new program, it's only open to the 5th graders and 11th graders right now, but it would be amazing if we could see this be a school-wide initiative.
All right, now trailing off of what Caroline said, I'm going to talk about the couple of school-wide events that we held this school year. First thing we did this year, well, not first thing, but one of the things we did this year was our organic seed sale. We sold these through High Mowing Company in Vermont. We sold these seeds to Iacs community members, and they consisted of seeds and starting kits for gardens. We sent out a form to all the students here, and they filled out what they wanted or what they needed. This, you may be wondering how we do all of our activities, like money-wise, but through this sale, this was actually our main source of income for our internship. So all the money that we gained for this sale was used for our activities that we did. And usually we actually do this organic seed sale for Christmas gifts, but because of COVID, it was delayed quite a bit, so we weren't able to be given as Christmas gifts this year. Our second event was our Flowers for Justice fundraiser. On Valentine's Day, we sold carnations that we ordered from our local florist. All the proceeds went to the Northeast Farmers of Color Land Trust. This was during Black History Month, so it was a celebration of Black History Month. We advertised this sale for about a week or 2 on our Instagram and through the morning announcements. But in total, we raised $239.75. This fundraiser was my favorite, especially. I just felt really connected to the community. Seeing all the smiles that the flowers put on all the students' faces, it really made me feel really close to my peers and just, the earth in general. Recently, we had a plant sale. The Farm to School program actually holds annual plant sales each year, and we usually start the plants indoors and prepare them to be planted outside. After that, we sell them to Iacs families so they can grow and harvest their own produce during the summer. The plants are bought by donation, so you need to donate at least a penny. So really, this was really affordable for anyone. 100% of the funds went to a nonprofit. Each year, the students choose a nonprofit that's working to build a more sustainable and just food system. And this year, we raised over $600 for the Soul Fire Farm and sold around 175 plants. This is a couple photos from, this is a photo from our plant sale this year. We also had a drive-in movie night in the beginning of this year. This event took place in the National Farm to School Month in October. We planned a school drive-in movie night where we played Ratatouille. Our goodies consisted of local corn, beans, raw popcorn, planting information cards, and cranberries. This is a more in-depth like flyer for what we do at our Farm to School event. This talks about a couple of the ways we celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day and Latinx Heritage Month to your left. Yeah.
So next year, our schedule at Iacs is like completely changing. So there won't be any more half days. And obviously our internship takes place on half days. So we had to like readjust. But next year it will be like a credit driven like course that you can take during the school day instead of like an after school program. And basically like the description, it will take place during A block, which they'll meet 3 times a week for 90 minutes about, and that'll be Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And the current plan is that on Monday and Wednesday, they'll be on campus supporting our school's program. And then on Thursday, they'll go on food trips or field trips to learn like local sites, to learn from and build new skills, as well as like volunteer to improve the food system. So yeah.
So some of our takeaways from participating in this internship this year is we've formed strong relationships with one another, as well as relationships with our community through all of the events and education we've tried to do. And we have learned the hard work that it takes to care for plants and like work in food systems. It gave us way more realistic view of what goes into everything. And we learned just a lot about sustainable food and gardening so that we can work towards better things in the future.
No. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you. Now the floor is open to you guys to ask any questions or anything that you would like to say.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. It's just incredible, all of the hard work you do and just the different components of your project. And also to me, how you include communication in and how you spread all of your activity so people know and are aware. So opening the floor up, please feel free to write a question in the chat or put your camera on and ask a question.
We also have a document for all the resources that are available to you if you want to like do similar events and stuff like that. So put that in the chat. So all those resources can be used.
There's a question for you in the chat. How much food does the kitchen get to use for school lunch?
Like the food that we grow from like our garden.
Yeah, I think that's what the, I would guess.
Most of it we usually just like sell, like during the plant sale, like those went directly to like sale, but like for microgreens and stuff, they were totally accessible for the kitchen to use. Did you paste it? No, it's not. Do Control V for community. No, paste it. Okay, so that's the link to the document of different resources that we used.
Shetna, do you have a question? I saw your.
Yes, I actually have a comment, a question and comment both, but first of all, incredible work. I am speechless. I think this is, you guys are, the more you spread the word of what you're doing, the better you will serve all of us who are in this passionate work of, understanding where food comes from. And that's what you have summarized. So huge kudos to all of you. We have a small farm food ambassador program too, but nothing like so you're inspired, and I'm going to definitely share this presentation with our team. And one question I had was, how could you tell us, like, how do you do this? I'm just trying to figure out at what time of the school day you actually work together, and how do you communicate to your teachers? Like, do you miss any classes, or just trying to figure out in the middle of all the busy schedule of your academic life and extracurricular life, how do you fit this in?
Thank you so much for your question. It's definitely been so much work this year, but we have half days every week. So on Wednesdays, we get out at 12:25. So we work from 12:30 to 4 o'clock every week together. And it definitely is a lot of work. And we've spent so much time doing all of this, but it's so worth it. And I'm so proud of everything we've done. Yeah, you guys have
Right.
Yeah, just for like logistics of missing class, next year this will be offered as its own class with credit. So it will be a lot more dedicated time where it will be offered as like a science class, so that students will be able to dedicate a lot more to these projects.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, that's a testimony to you that you guys have really impressed your school administrators, huh? And so wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Will the class that is going to be next year, will it be open to all students or a specific grade, or how will that work? Do you know?
Sorry. That would be internships are usually specifically for 11th and 12th graders.
Yeah, so that's where they are right now. But next year, when it is like a course, it will still be 11th to 12th. Yeah.
11th and 12th grade.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And then I had a question, one more question, if other people don't have questions right now, which is, do you ever imagine working, like your team going to other schools to help those schools create ambassador programs, like a school to school, like a student to student connection, as opposed to an adult starting a program at their school connection?
Yeah. I mean, if the opportunity like arose itself, I would be 100% open to doing like anything like that. I think that'd be a really cool opportunity.
Yeah, and I'm sure all of us agree.
Yeah, I think.
And you're going to be seniors next year, so you'll still be there?
Yeah.
Okay. You just
Well,
made me,
that's wonderful, because we're going to sign you up to come to
yeah, you
Cloudman.
made me think that I've been thinking about how to connect schools to schools, and it would be really interesting if you were all able to inspire youth directly at different schools around and spread it as a youth to youth program.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, then I'll be emailing you. Anyone have any other questions or comments?
I have a question. First off, I'm an Iacs parent. My niece and nephew, my niece is actually 11th grader. There, Isabel. I don't know if you guys know her. She said, I texted her already. But I have a question. Are those, your videos are great. Could we have access to those? Because I work at a special education school, and especially like the microgreens, because we're starting to put together at one of the special education schools, more of like a horticulture, but your little videos are great because they're short and to the point. So could we have access to some of those videos?
Yeah, in the link that we put in the chat, there's like a link to the slideshow, and then you can go directly to the videos. So we'll show you that. We'll share your screen.
Okay,
So then go to the, is this it?
there it is.
Yeah.
Right under food waste, it says food waste advisory presentation.
And then you can watch the videos directly from there.
Are they all on Google Slides? Is that what it is?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much, because I think that would be really helpful instead of trying to recreate the wheel. You guys have already done it. So great job, girls.
Yeah.
Are there other questions or comments or feedback?
I
And
actually have a question.
read the chat as well.
I actually have a question for the young ladies, which amazing presentation. Thank you guys so much. I'm not sure what grade you all are. I'm sorry if I missed it, but I was just wondering if out of this any of you developed an interest in, some aspect of agriculture or food service as a career path?
So we are all juniors. Personally, I definitely got like a major interest in terms of like food waste from this, and reducing that because I think it's super important. But that's me, if you guys want to.
Yeah. I personally have been thinking about a career in food systems for a while, but through this internship, I realized I want to focus a lot more on sustainability and waste reduction and environmental impacts of food systems. So yeah, it definitely piqued my interest a lot more because it showed me all the different avenues that you can work in and like different ways you can help.
That's awesome to hear. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Anyone else have feedback or question and please feel free to use the chat as well. And ambassadors, make sure you get to read the chat because there's a lot of praise.
Can I say something?
Yeah, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Miss Sinar. I have the joy and privilege of working with these phenomenal young women who are they are the farm to school and heart of the program. And I'm just so proud of them and the rest that they took to be here today to present to you all. The amount of work that they have done, like what they presented was just, probably 75% of what they do. There is so much more that isn't there. But yeah, I think them connecting with other schools is exciting, but if you're interested in hearing kind of more about the structure of internship and the perspective of a coordinator, I'm happy to connect with people too about that part. But really as much as possible, just letting them do their thing is kind of the goal there. So just wanted to, hello.
So I'm just going to make one. So that was the question I wanted to ask was that who is the lead sort of the instructor or teacher or guide or mentor for you guys at school? So I think I just got the answer, but it's so it's helpful to know that there is a constant sort of a mentor, guide, and teacher with all of you.
To be honest, and they can tell more about it. On half day Wednesdays, they have internship, and when we have PD and meetings and stuff like that. So we meet together for the first little bit, and then I'm like, see ya. Go do the good work, and then check back in with them a little bit later if I can. You can speak more to that. What is that? What is the supervision look? I mean, it's really you all leading.
Yeah.
So.
In the beginning, we had a notes document where we write everything down that you said, but throughout the internship, we just started just working together to memorize all the information, and we just flow really good as a group, and we just know what we have to do, and it just flows really good. Yeah, it's been really good.
And one last question. Sorry to ask so many questions because you guys are so good. Is this internship, is it throughout the school year or is it a certain time?
Yeah,
frame?
it's all year.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Another question you got was, how does the seed sale work? Do you want to talk about it with the high mowing?
Yeah. So the seed sale, we get the seeds from high mowing, but basically we just we have this form, and it's sent out to all parents, all students, whatever, and they can just use that form to pick out the seeds that they want. And then Miss Sinar will order all the seeds from high mowing, and we organize all the seeds, and then we hand them out to all the orders.
I think it's 60% of the profit goes to us.
Yeah, and then 60% of the profit goes to us from the sale.
You have another question in the chat, which is, what do you do with the liquid waste?
What's your thing?
The liquid waste, so it's just a bin that all the liquid gets poured in, and then at the end of the day, after all the lunches are done, it just gets poured down the drain.
Yeah.
And the reason we started doing it was because all of that liquid was being put into trash bags, and then those trash bags were getting super heavy and they would break, and it just wasn't very good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Great. Well, if there's no more questions, if everyone on here could take time to fill out the session evaluation that we dropped in, I'll drop it in again to the chat if you didn't see it. And thank you so much to
course.
the four of you for sharing this really powerful work you do. And it's obviously you do it with real heart and care and intelligence and detail. And it's just so impressive. There are so many different layers to it. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm sure you're going to have a lot of people reaching out to you.
Do you want to drop in an email for them to reach out to?
Oh,
Would be
yeah,
good?
yeah, you can, okay. You want to do mine either? So I can-
Okay, yeah, I don't
Your
remember
email.
email.
Oh, yeah,
Me.
or, yeah, do so much.
We can put it in the doc later.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we can also put like later on the document that we shared with you. We can just like put our emails. And if you ever do want to reach out to us.
Okay, yeah, if you put that, that would be great. If you would add contact to that document, people could reach out and that document is in the chat as well. So thank you everyone so much. This was our first youth presentation of the week. There are some other great ones. We have Northampton High School is going to be presenting about their composting, whole school composting program. And we have a climate activist from Youth Climate Action Now speaking on Thursday. And so if you can get to this 10 o'clock time, and especially you all at Innovation Academy, if you convince your teachers to log in at 10, you can give them an audience too. We also have some great field trips across the state from Boston to the Berkshires. So please think about attending those on Saturday. And thanks everyone so much for joining us today.
Of course.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.